Hello and welcome to yet another episode in our series of contemporary Western philosophers. Today we shall take a look at the life and background of Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche. Now we see that Friedrich Nietzsche was a German philosopher born on October 15, 1844 in Rocken, Saxony, that is modern day Germany. His father and grandfathers were Lutheran ministers, but we see that Nietzsche would later reject Christianity completely. He studied classical literature and philosophy at the universities of Bonn and Leipzig and became a professor at the University of Basel in Switzerland at just 24 years. Now, Nietzsche was influenced by the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, who believed that life is full of pain and suffering. However, we see that Nietzsche disagreed with Schopenhauer's pessimism, and instead he focused on how humans could embrace life and become stronger. Now, what were his main ideas? First idea about Nietzsche, which is quite famous, as we all know, is God is dead, which is a direct, in a way, challenge to religion. He wrote about this in his book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra. And here, in a way, we see that he was influenced by Zoroastrianism, especially with regards to how you have various concepts in Zoroastrianism of, in a way, the fight between the good and the evil. And in this way, we see that Nietzsche here did not mean that God was literally dead, but rather he believed that people no longer truly believed in God the way they once did. And here we see that religion, especially Christianity, was losing its importance in society. And therefore Nietzsche believed that without religion, people needed a new way to find meaning in life. And here we see that Nietzsche argued that Christianity made people weak. Why? Because it focused on humility, obedience, and life after death, instead of focusing on strength, creativity, and living fully in the present. And therefore, he believed that morality based on religion in a way stopped individuals from reaching their full potential. Next idea of Nietzsche's is the will to power, that is the drive for greatness. Now, Nietzsche believed that the most basic human instinct is the will to power. And this we see that is a deep desire for strength, achievement, and control over one's own destiny. And therefore he saw life as a struggle where people take control of their lives, or either they become weak followers. And in this way he criticized traditional morality. He said that people should, in a way, not be passive and obedient. So he encouraged, in a way, people to go against traditional morality. Why? Because traditional morality, in a way, encouraged people to become passive as well as obedient. But in a way, Nietzsche believed that people should embrace their passions and use them creatively to become stronger individuals. Next idea of his is that of the Superman. And in a way, we see that Nietzsche tried to bring in this concept of the ideal human. Now, this concept of Superman as a kind of a superior individual who rises above the ordinary masses was in a way introduced by Nietzsche. Why? Because he says that the Superman in a way creates his or her own values rather than following traditional religious or moral beliefs. A Superman lives life boldly, so without any fear of suffering or struggle. And they use creativity and intelligence to shape the world. And therefore, Nietzsche saw the Superman as a leader plus innovator. A person who is not limited by society's rules, but instead creates new paths for human progress. Another concept was beyond good and evil. So, in his books, Beyond Good and Evil and on the genealogy of morals, Nietzsche argued that morality was not something absolute or universal. Instead, he said that it was something created by societies to control people. Now, he said in ancient times, strong, powerful people created their own values. But later, religion and morality were used to suppress strength and greatness. And therefore, the idea of being kind, self-sacrificing, humble became the standard of good, which, while being powerful and independent, was also seen as evil. And therefore, Nietzsche rejected this idea and encouraged people to go beyond traditional ideas of good and evil to find their own moral path. Coming to his later life and death, we see that Nietzsche suffered a mental breakdown and he was found hugging a horse in the streets of Turin, Italy, after seeing that it had been whipped. His mental health deteriorated, and he spent the rest of his life in an asylum. Some believed his insanity was caused by syphilis, while others suggest it was a neurological disorder. And he died on the 5th of August. He died on the 25th of August, 1900. At the age of 56. And in this way, Nietzsche and his ideas became extremely influential after his death. And therefore, many famous thinkers and artists were inspired by him, like Sigmund Freud, who is the father of psychoanalysis, W.B. Yeats, an Irish poet, Richard Strauss, who is also the composer of also Sprach Zarathustra, and George Bernard Shaw, who's playwright of Man and Superman. We see that even Adolf Hitler and Mussolini misinterpreted Nietzsche's ideas, using them to justify fascism and dictatorship, which, if Nietzsche were to be alive at that time, he would have definitely opposed to that. So we see that Nietzsche was one of the most radical and influential thinkers in modern philosophy. He challenged religion, redefined morality and encouraged people to embrace their inner strength. And his ideas continue to inspire philosophers, writers, and artists right up to this day. He is the one who is credited with the famous quote, "What doesn't kill us makes us stronger." And this perfectly, in a way, illustrates how life is a struggle, but overcoming difficulties can make us powerful and free. So this brings us to an end of a small introduction to Friedrich Nietzsche. Next time we'll take a look at his philosophy of the human person. So till then, see you next time.